And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Arcane Academy. This is a game from IDW and Third World Games designed by Kevin Wilson and Eric Lang. Now, this is a game that I'd heard about, but I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. Arcane Academy, I figured it was some sort of Harry Potter style game that Eric Lang and Kevin just cranked out for IDW. Again, I just didn't think much about it, but I knew that they had worked on this game for a while, and Eric Lang said, I think you guys will like this. I said, we'll see. And we played it. Let's see if we did like it. There's some tiles that are placed in the middle of the table. They're drawn from a bag of tiles. There are also some cards, which are made up of items and spells. Each player has a tracker spinner here, where they're going to keep track of their will, so they can have up to 9 will. And players are also going to be collecting shards as time goes by. Players have these 4 cards here. These are spells that any player can complete, but players will also have a handful of cards that only you can finish. In front of them, players have a board here, and on this board are different actions that they can take. So on your turn, you can either exhaust an action, and that means put a cube here on one of your actions to show that you're using that action. If there's a cube on an action, you can't use it again, or you can spend an action to wipe all the cubes off. When you do that, you're also allowed to discard a card from your hand and draw a new one. So the whole game is really around placing these actions. The actions on your board are pretty simple. Here, you can take a will or a shard. Here, you can add a new tile. You pick a new tile from the board, and you can place it any way you want on the board. You can even place tiles on top of other tiles if you want to, although you're never allowed to cover up this tile. If you always need to have one tile that lets you take a card. When you place in this tile, I can either activate a card or I can take a card. When you take a card, you simply pay the cost. This one here happens to be free, and put it in front of you. If it's an item, you will keep it and you can use it in the future. Sometimes they give you a special ability like this one here, lets you substitute will for shards to pay any part of an item's cost. If it's a spell, you will do it. So this says each opponent must choose one of their unexhausted tiles and exhaust it. And here at the end of your turn, remove all exhaustion tokens from your slate and then take another turn. So spell will go off right away. Now, the whole point of this game is, as you're placing these out, you may place things that are connected to others. You'll see there's this connection here. What that means is that if I go here, which gives me 2 will, I also can take this action, the connected action to it, which is place a tile. Same thing here. If I go here and place a tile, I can also take 2 will. It has to be an unexhausted tile, but you can see that you can possibly set up all sorts of things in the middle of the table, so that if I go here to this spot, which is a wild, which lets me do any of the different actions, I can also take the 2 that are next to it. Or this one here, if I manage to get this one set up in the perfect way, and I play a card here, I can take either 1 will or 1 shard, and then take 2 shards, and take 2 will, and then 1 action of my choice. Now, only this one will activate all 4, but this one here, so I might say, I'm going to do this one, activate all 4, or I can do this one, activate these 2, do this one, activate these 2, then do this one and activate those 2. So it's up to you, the player, to determine how you're going to activate the different cards and when you're going to wipe the different cards off. The lightning bolt here, the magic wand symbol, lets you activate a card. So for example, this card, if I use that, I can gain 2 shards. And really, it's all the different cards of the game that you're trying to do. Some cards, like this one here, are simply worth a lot of points. This one here gives me an ability, discard a tile in the center and redraw. Then put a prestige token on this item. So some items can go up in value as you put prestige tokens on them. Each item and spell is going to be worth prestige points at the end of the game. That's how you win the game. Here, each opponent must choose a space in their slate containing 1 or more tiles. Discard all tiles from those chosen spaces. Put a prestige token on each of your items. Remove all exhaustion tokens from your slate at the end of your turn. Here, choose an opponent. Unless an opponent gives you 1 shard, put a prestige token on this item. And so you have all these different items and spells that you're going to be playing, and as soon as someone has played 8 of these in front of them, then that person will take the pencils down card. There's one final round, and then players are going to add up all the prestige values of their cards, plus any prestige tokens that they have gotten on their cards over the course of the game, and whoever has the most is the winner. This game is not what I expected at all. I really did enjoy it. Now, I will say that there's the mats in my game could have laid a little flatter. Maybe as time goes by, they'll flatten out more. And the spinners here spin a little too easily for me. I'd rather them just, stop on a number. But it's not a big deal. I know that the spinners themselves are here to keep you from going over the limit of 9 will. I almost would have preferred, instead of a spinner, that there just been a will resource that you collected. Although then you'd have to keep track of the fact that there's 9. These are minor things. The theme of the game's super generic, right? It's a super generic, hey, I'm in a wizardly school and we're learning spells, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Once you start playing the game, none of that matters. It's all about activate tiles and or wipe. In fact, this activate things and or wipe, you'll notice is kind of a similar thing to Arcadia Quest, although Arcadia Quest is a big thing, game built around that. But this game here takes that simple concept and makes it very intriguing. The whole linking tiles together and then activating multiple tiles is pretty cool. Now, you're not building big chains, you're building like little small chains, and then like I said, do you activate the one tile and do the tiles around it, or do you activate the outer tiles first to get that action in the middle? When do you wipe your board? Because wiping your board is essentially a wasted action. What tiles do you take? The better tiles, the ones that do cooler things, are going to have fewer connections on them. So I want the more connections. Well, then you're probably not going to get a tile that's as useful. Do you want really good tiles with fewer connections? And so this is not like rocket science, but what it does offer is it gives you this cool feeling of, hey, I have a different board than someone else, and it gives you this engine building type game that plays very quickly. We're talking in the Splendor category. We're talking a short game that people are going to be able to play in 30 minutes and yet feel like you had a really good, entertaining game. There's certainly interaction with the different cards that players will be playing as they mess over other players, but more than thinking about that, you're sitting there going, okay, I need to get tile here, 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 activate, 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 activate. Okay, clear my board, activate, 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 clear my board. And that sounds like it could become repetitive, and I think that it would possibly in an hour-plus game, but this game is just the right length for that. And in fact, changing the number of players doesn't seem to really add that much time to the game, which is something I like. So really, the trappings here, very generic. And the game, if you walked up and saw me playing it, you might not say, what are you doing? You might, whatever. But I would urge you to stop by. Kevin Wilson and Eric Lang are known for doing big, grandiose games. This is not a big, grandiose game. This is actually a very streamlined, cool action game. And even if you don't like fantasy at all, I really think this could be for you. Because again, the theme could be just flipped around. You're just collecting resources and things. But that whole activating tiles and then deciding the best turn to wipe them, to be able to activate them again, it's just a really entertaining concept. The decisions are good, like which of the 4 tiles will I take? Which card out of the possible ones that I can play will I play? When I take a new tile, where do I put it? Which tile am I going to activate now? Those are not, really huge decisions, but they're good decisions. But because they're not too widespread, the game does not have a whole lot of downtime. I take my turn, you take your turn, and we go around, and that keeps gameplay flowing fast and quickly. This is not a filler. This is what I would call maybe the soup and salad before your main course meal of the night, but it's definitely one that I think people should check out. It's certainly a really cool game. I recommend it for almost everyone, really, because I know that some people like to play the big games, some people want to play short, quicker games. I think this is kind of a happy medium in between those, and everyone will get a kick out of playing Arcane Academy. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.